From being born with a speed gene that gives them supernatural abilities, to having top-of-the-line coaches for some world-class advice, here's the real reason why Jamaicans run so fast. Starting with the genetic lottery these bad boys won. Okay, here's the thing. Our bodies need oxygen to work our muscles. And if there's more oxygen, there's more energy. Over time, athletes develop this distinct gene known as the D allele, which allows their heart to pump blood more quickly to the rest of their body, giving the track star a lot more energy than a normal human being. And if you think that's wild, there's more to this genetic mechanism, because scientists have also found another gene that Jamaicans are blessed with, the 577RR variant of actinin 3 gene. Now, while the name's pretty confusing, the concept is simple. With this gene, even if a sprinter is out of breath or low on oxygen, their body switches to fast twitch muscles that help generate strong back-to-back contractions, so they can still run faster than an average person. This explosive running is great for sprinters, and since around 75% of Jamaicans are found with this genetic advantage, it's why we see most records set by these folks in the track and field world. Not to mention, these runners have long limbs, which gives them the advantage of taking bigger strides. And since they have little subcutaneous fat, they have lesser weight to carry around while running. So, safe to say, they've got their hands on this genetic lottery. And as much as these genes can be developed during the life of an athlete, what makes Jamaicans even more special is that the environment they grew up in gives them the perfect diet to be the fastest. Now, don't get me wrong, but Jamaica is probably not the country you'd imagine the Flash to get his groceries from. Still, trust me when I say that the athletes that live on Jamaican food crops, like Usain Bolt, are usually nicknamed the Flash. Why? That's because many Olympians grew up in deeply rural places. And in areas like Trelawney and Manchester, there were large aluminum ore deposits. And for rural townsmen to make a life out of what they could get their hands on, they used these aluminum-rich areas as farmland. So it makes sense why Jamaican food crops contain high amounts of aluminum. And this exact diet is the key to why fast runners come from these areas. Because according to researchers, when the athlete's mother's diet contains such minerals, those special genes develop really early on during pregnancy. So in simpler words, a Jamaican runner is already on the perfect diet even in the womb. So they're naturally ready for a life full of sprinting. And they definitely need it, because in this land, track and field isn't just a sport. It's a way of life. Starting from as early as childhood, these kids dive headfirst into the world of sprinting. They eagerly participate in the national primary and preparatory school championships, where every child is eyeballing the winner's trophy. And it's not a silly little sports event. It's the real deal. These talented youngsters spend weeks on end preparing for these annual competitions. They train hard, they sprint faster, and they give it their all. And this is exactly where raw sprinting talent is discovered. I mean, I doubt that a kid would know about performance enhancement drugs at a junior school level, so it's pretty easy to spot kids that run like the wind. And it doesn't stop there. It's not just about winning a trophy. It's about forging an entire career path. The best of the best kids from those competitions are selected by high schools with some serious sports programs. They nurture these budding athletes to ensure that their talent isn't wasted. And once the curtains rise on the famous Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championships, that's when the real show starts. So, these youngsters are heavily prepared for the life of an athlete. And by the time they grow up to become seasoned track stars, they've already faced challenges and celebrated victories with their fair share of losses. So just like how America focuses on basketball and the NFL, Jamaicans got the sprinting world under their dominance. Speaking of which, since track and field is so popular in the country, it becomes a sure ticket out of poverty. If you want an actual story about rags to riches in the sports industry, then just take a look at Jamaican athletes. Becoming a professional athlete in that land is a total game changer for them. And let me tell you, these athletes had it pretty tough growing up. I mean, they had to walk miles just to get some water. So when the opportunity rises to become a professional track star, no one would want to sleep on that. Sure, it doesn't bring as much moolah as team sports, but that doesn't demotivate any athlete who's just trying to make a better living than before. They've got this fire burning inside them to make a difference in their family, And that's what fuels their journey to success. Take Lightning Bolt as an example. Now, this guy is the epitome of Jamaican awesomeness. He's from a deeply rural district called Sherwood Content, and now he's worth around $90 billion. Can you believe it? He can purchase his entire district with that kind of money. In fact, his rags to riches story has actually boosted the infrastructure for young sprinters. 'Cause now, countless kids want to be the next Usain Bolt, or Asafa Powell, or Johan Blake. Like, there are just too many athletes that have become role models for young kids. So, the country has developed some top-notch facilities that are tailor-made for training sprinters. And get this, sure, the gym in UTEC is not the fanciest in the world, but let me tell you, it's bursting with determination and sheer grit. Athletes work their socks off in that tiny powerhouse, and developing the infrastructure was just the cherry on top, because the Jamaican climate and terrain were already perfect for athletes. It has more than enough sunshine and warmth all year round, so the runners can easily build their stamina in that weather. And although Jamaica is a small island, it has a secret recipe that creates lightning-fast runners. So, with excellent role models, developing facilities, and perfect weather, there have been many aspirants aiming for the big fields. Like, take 16-year-old Joanne Reed as an example. Bolt had inspired her young heart from the day she learned how to walk. And since then, she is considered one of the world's top sprinters in the 200 and 400 meters. And that's just the start, because youngsters are filled up with so much pride that they use those facilities pretty early on in hopes to compete globally. In fact, since Jamaicans are so naturally talented, focusing on sports from an early age brings another incredible opportunity for high school students. For instance, they can easily bag themselves sports scholarships, and it's like hitting the jackpot. This allows young kids to pursue their passion for sports at top-notch universities, all without drowning in a sea of student loans. That sounds like a steal to me. It's also the surest and easiest way for many talented students to graduate from college completely debt-free. So if you ask me, it's a win-win situation. This sheer determination and unshakable belief that life would get easier by focusing on sports is something that makes Jamaicans turn their dreams into reality. So, when you see Jamaican athletes sprinting their hearts out on the global stage, just know that their journey goes back beyond the track. It was a fight to make a better life, and running fast really made them win the race. But even with extreme talent and confidence, it's pretty hard to make it to the top. And behind every successful athlete, there's an extraordinary coach that shapes the star's journey. And let me tell you, Jamaica is blessed with some top-notch coaching legends. I'm talking about Stephen Francis and Glenn Mills, the powerhouses of coaching. These remarkable individuals have dedicated their lives to fine-tuning the abilities of their students. And Glenn Mills in particular is the absolute GOAT. This man is a coaching genius, because under his guidance, athletes have bagged a mind-blowing 33 Olympic and a staggering 74 World Championship medals. That's not just impressive, it's downright jaw-dropping. Plus, he wasn't just there mentoring his protégés about how to run fast, but he was like a father figure to them. He gave them wisdom, knowledge, and inspiration, three things that keep the wheels turning in an athlete's life. Not just that, but he's the one who actually saw Usain Bolt's true potential. So he molded his skills, pushed him beyond the limit, and voila! Bolt became the fastest man on the planet. It's pretty obvious how good of a mentor he is. After all, he's one of the best out there, if not the best. And that's gotta say a lot about Jamaica's excellent mentorship. So, from top-of-the-line coaches giving world-class advice to sprinters, to being born with a speed gene that gives them supernatural abilities, this was the real reason why Jamaicans run so fast.